Yes, so thank you, everybody. Welcome to the April Yes Story Lab. We're the Youth Educators and Storytellers Special Interest Group from National Storytelling Network. And we're pleased to have Dr. Gail Herman to lead our Story Lab this evening. And Gail has experience teaching in K-12 and teaching at the university level, and also has directed storytelling festivals and has a special love of family storytelling. So that is what she's going to talk to us about tonight. And Gail, I can start out by asking you what are some projects that you've been working on recently?
Well, there's quite a few. Basically, they involve, little kids, medium-sized kids, and adults. And, I've been just writing little grants all my life. And I've been teaching in 10 colleges. Would you believe that?
Oh.
10 colleges.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I know I don't look it. But I've been teaching this kind of thing for 45 years. So
You started when you were 10?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi John. Started when I was 10, Cora. So so I've got the things on my slideshow, and believe me, when I use slideshow, people aren't looking at the slides. I turn around and see them, or I'm looking at them here because they're looking at me because I'm the show. But the slideshow kind of keeps me on track. And so that's why I have to show you the slideshow. But you'll see me in a little box on the corner, okay? And when you need to ask me a question, please do it. But you might have to do it in the chat, and then Sarah Beth will not interrupt me, but get me to answer that if it's relevant to right now, okay? So please put the chat on so that you've got it up and you can use it as we go along. And what I don't finish, I can email back to you. Oh, and there are at least 3 or 4, definitely 3 articles that I managed to capture from my former Word machine into my Apple. And I'm going to send those to you, but I need to have your emails. So that's the first thing I want you all to do now, is put your emails in the chat, please. I'm not going to wait another second, because otherwise you won't get the articles, okay? And yeah, so and one of them, I should say, one of them, and my only claim to fame. Oh, I have to close this door. That's so my husband doesn't think I'm bragging. The only claim to fame that I have is that one time I happened to write a very long article for Parenting for High Potential. See, and it was a good article, 4 pages they printed. They loved it. Well, somebody from one of the big magazines read it. Now, did I get any money for doing this work in Parenting for High? Not a penny in the educational magazine. But did I get money from the magazine? Oh, you bet I did. The guy said, I'm sorry, but I need to ask you to give it to me in 3 weeks. And you have to cut your beautiful article to 500 words. I said, oh, really? How much is the pay? He said, $5 a word. I said, is A a word? Yes. I said, I'll do it. That's my kind of thing. So I can pull that out even and send it to you. But this is the better one if I could. Now, I think, I don't have that one anymore online, but I could email it. I mean, I could mail it to you if you really wanted it. I can send you the short version, not nearly as good. But oh my gosh, I never got paid so much money. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
So Gail, can we get a copy of the PowerPoint or the whatever you're going to use, the overhead?
Yes, and you get started right now. You're right. So this is a little bit of I have to share this. Am I sharing the screen yet? No. Here, am I sharing?
Yes.
I know I don't see your screen. There it is.
Welcome, Carol.
Did you see it? Do you see it?
Yes, we can see your
Yes.
screen.
Yeah. Now this is my new Apple, and it's not nearly as exciting as what I could do in my Word on my regular, machine. But I wanted to show it to you. That's my grandson. And I'm telling you about my grandson to begin with early in this, because one of the stories I created for the little bitty ones was because of him. And I wanted to tell you about that. So just that's the picture, only he was younger when we did it. So can you see it? Everything on there? Okay. Let me see if I can do this right. Family stories. Okay. They include personal stories. So anything about me becomes part of the family, especially when you share it with your relations, your friends and associates. And family stories include any relationship you have, parents, anything, cousins. It includes friends and even associates, because what my husband and I believe is that it's any familial relationship, anything that you have strong feelings for. If it's a family story about them, it's part of your family. We have pseudo sons, and we have a daughter from Estonia as well as a birth daughter. We have all kinds of friends that we call family. And I have belongings that are like my family, my books. Somebody's going to make a story about Gail's books, which are downstairs on both sides of the wall. I must have 3,000 books. And artifacts, well, my instruments, I consider them really and truly, I couldn't part with one without crying. Pets, family stories about pets, any pet that comes into your life, or the community and location. So Garrett County, Maryland, right, Katie, is like a family to Steve and me. And so sometimes the stories are about locations and about the people, and they become part of the family lore. And so stories, now there are three kinds of family stories that we consider. Stories that are passed down, like my my mother-in-law told us stories, and she also gave us notes on some of the things that she went through. She did that before she died of pancreatic cancer, and we found these notes on the side of her bed. And so we made a wonderful book, which I have right here. It's called Tales of Mischievous Martha, and it's about her orphanage experiences. Now, we also have stories about ourselves and our own experience, and this becomes part of the lore, especially if you tell it to more than, to another person in the family. Stories of family from our own recollections of times shared with a relative. So we consider, three types of them, and they can include any one of these things that I've got up on this list. You could add more. And why tell family stories? This is very important. And you know this. I almost don't have to share this with you, but it's a heart thing of why. And it makes us bond, and it gives us identity, especially children. I could send you an article on that we published, a book on telling story. It was through NSN, one of their little teeny books. I can certainly send anyone kind of this aspect of it if you like. And they provide a frame for people's lives and meaning in life. I really think they're essential. Now, the Mischievous Martha stories are wonderful. And in it, I wrote about how we finally decided on, the chapter is about finding and writing family stories. So I have the article. Sarah Beth has it also. I sent her a copy already. And we can send you this because what I did was tell you about how we tried to find the great grandma story coming over from Ukraine that Steve had, glimpses of. And we asked all these relatives, and we got 4 different reasons that Gail came over from Ukraine, 4 different ones, all having to do with her sister's husband who died. And she eventually married him. Martha eventually married him, my mother-in-law, Steve's mother. And it's just interesting how you just have to pick one of these that for you makes a good story, because you've got a variety to choose from the more people you ask, right, Katie? She's shaking her head, I can see. Now, one of the things that I use, and the most important thing that I use, everybody quickly reach down and get a paper and a pencil. And it doesn't have to be a good paper, and it doesn't have to be a good pencil. But I want you to have I want everyone to be doing this activity, if at all possible. And so I'm going to just take a breath and relax and get you to get your paper and pencil. You getting it? Yeah? Okay. Now you can see me very well, even though I can't see all of you. And I can see some of you, so I'm watching that you're writing. I do this with all different ages except preschool. I haven't ever done it with preschool. I've read them this book, but I never did this activity. This activity is a brainstorming activity, and it only works if you do this. If you write the stem, when I was young and lived in, and then you put a town or a city or a state or anything, and then the next thing you do, while you're writing it, you think of that place, and then you put down, I remember X. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've done this with my Lesley University students, or with a group of kids. Every time I do it, my friends, I get new ideas, even if I get the same images. So you're not going to write a story. You're going to write this stem over and over again. And you're going to let your mind do its magic. You're going to say, when I was young and lived in, it makes me think of, you don't even have to write, it makes me think of, you just write the image that appears, the feeling, if you have a feeling. I remember the smell of, or the memory of, or I remember the bike or the tree. And every time I did it, usually at this exercise, I'd find a tree. I'd have a tree written down. And I didn't know why until later, when I did it for maybe the fourth time with a different group. And I realized, oh, my mother died. And I remember looking out the window at the tree. And I thought, as long as there are trees, we'll be okay. So that tree has such significance for me. I put it in my family history book, which is kind of messed up. But this is the book. When I was young and in the mountains, grandfather came home in the evening, covered with the black dust of coal. Only his lips were clean, and he used them to kiss me on the top of my head. I love that because I did a coal mining oral history. And this is absolutely true. The only thing they came home with that was clean were their lips where they had eaten dinner. That always was clean. Later in the middle of the night, my granny walked me through the grass to the Johnny house and held my hand in the dark. And I promised never to eat more than one serving of fried okra ever again. And it goes on like that. So one sentence or two, I'll give you a couple of minutes, and some of you have already been jotting down, so I'm so glad. I'm going to time it.
Gail,
Yes?
just double checking. So you shouldn't, when you come up with something that you remember, an image or something, we're supposed to just leave that and redo it and keep coming up with images rather than take that image and run with it.
Yes,
This
is brainstorming, fluency,
Okay.
flexibility. The elaboration will come much later.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that, John. Okay. Another half a minute to finish up the one that you were on.
I have another question.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and maybe not for this time, but for another time with this exercise. When you repeat the stem and you lived in, are you potentially changing the places? Like maybe I lived in one town until I was 10 years old, and then, I moved to some other place for high school. I mean, or do you stay in one town and then just list the memories from that period?
That is a very good question. And you can do whatever comes into your mind. This is not time related. This is an opportunity to brainstorm in free association. And it's very important that you don't control it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And that's a good question. And I always think something is clear, but this is why we do these things, to clarify our objectives. So, and usually students ask that. They say, I lived in 4 places. Oh, good, I say, whatever comes up. Okay. And they just go with it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions about doing this? Okay. And what do you think is the importance of doing this? I just said it, didn't I? Fluency, getting ideas, right? Do you have any questions about this so far? Okay, thank you, Linda, for yours. Now, I would like...
I have a question.
Yes?
I have something that's really amazing that just happened. I started, I was started when I was young, and I usually don't remember too much about happening when I was young. And I started thinking about it, and I was thinking about all these different things and stories that I haven't ever told anybody about things that happened to me when I was young. I mean, they're not things that I think about very often.
Right. And Cora, this is exactly what happened to me. I've taught my Leslie students for like 15, 20 years. And every time, not that I did it in every class, but when I did, which was a lot, I always thought of new things myself. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Not always. Sometimes they were the same thing, and I would maybe add a little, or...
Well, I had a very active adult life. I mean, I've done a million things as an adult. I mean, climbed mountains, drove an 18-wheeler, I did on the track, the wagon train for the bicentennial. I mean, I've done so many things.
Okay, thank you.
What happened when I was young? And all of a sudden I went, when I was young.
Yeah, it's a different
young do I have to be?
different story. Well, it could be any age that you think is younger than you are.
Yeah, but I went all the way back to like 6.
Yeah. And I would like somebody else to volunteer just to read one. Who can, and Sarah Beth, you can see everybody all at once. Who could raise their hand and just read one? And Sarah Beth, you're going to ask 3 people to read one thing. You could start. I usually ask everybody, go down your list and star the 1 or 2 that you like the best. Everybody does that. So they look through. They star the 1 or 2 they like best. And because of time being so short here, Sarah Beth, just call on 2 people because you can see everybody. They'll raise their hand and they will volunteer.
Sure. Here's Crow. Oh, wait, you're muted.
Thank you. When I was young and lived in Towson, Maryland, my father was mending the roof of the kennel when at 18 months old, I was walking in the snow beneath him and looked up and for the first time spoke. And I said, "Hi, Daddy." and he slid all the way down off the roof into the kennel.
Thank you, Here's Crow. Okay, call on somebody else, Sarah Beth.
Or John Sundell. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
How about now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Okay. When I was young and in Long Island, I remember.
Oh, you're muted.
We lost you. I don't know what happened.
What's going on?
Okay, do it now.
When I was young and in Long Island, I remember running out to play in the snow at my brother's bar mitzvah. We had this picture at home. Everybody was all dressed up, and I kept begging to run out in the snow, so I put on my snow clothes. And when I came back in, they took a group picture, and everybody's dressed to the nines, and there I am, all covered with snow in my snow outfit.
That's a memory.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I wish we had time to do more.
Can I ask John one question?
Yeah.
Well,
you
no, let me go on, Cora, to the next, if you don't mind.
Okay, I was just going to ask him to say Long Island one more time.
Oh, Long Island.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Long Island. Yeah, Long Island. Beth, go ahead, Beth.
When I was young and lived in Baltimore, I remember going out on my tricycle to pick up dead birds so I could give them a proper burial.
Oh,
Oh.
you didn't become a mortician after all.
No,
You became an oral historian.
right.
And Beth has a wonderful book she wrote called Creating Light. And hold it up, Beth. You have it? Creating Light. And it's all about people who survived the Holocaust and went on to live superlative lives. It's really great. What a good book. So when you do this with a group of adults or a group of high school or a group of middle school students, even elementary, but definitely the older ones, it sounds like if there's a poem going on, because it always starts when I was young and lived in, and it's like a group poem. Everybody at the end always goes, oh, So anyway, that's a no-fail activity that I do with a lot of different ages. And I want to go to a little bitty one, and this is for Carrie and Here's Crow. And actually, it was Here's Crow that asked the question, and I want to do this with you, okay, so that you can get an idea of how useful music is with the young bit. And Carrie Sue loves to do music with the little ones. So it's, and personification of objects. They love it. So I want to tell you about my little grandson, Dunan. This was when he was about 2, not even 2. And we were at Disneyland, I think it was in California. And we had gone to Disney World at Orlando, and it was like more than he could handle. He wasn't really that impressed. What can I say? His parents were kind of, organic hippie stuff. I mean, they didn't do a lot of, he knew Barney. That was it. But next day, everybody went somewhere, and I had Dunan, and I took him out for a walk. So I'm thinking, I hope that we can have a good walk and that he's not bored and blah, blah. So there we have found a construction site, they're right in a housing place outside the motel we were staying at. They had a backhoe. Dunan was fascinated with the backhoe. Well, I hadn't prepared anything but I knew some, songs from my childhood and whatever. So I said, "Oh, it's a big backhoe." And he would repeat. He was, I think, just barely 2. And he would say, "Big backhoe." So we made up a story, and it goes like this: "Hey ho, the big backhoe, it digs up dirt." Can you do that with me? Do it with me. I can see if you're doing it. I can hear you in my inner ear. So sing it. Hey ho, the big backhoe, the big backhoe, it digs up dirt. Hey ho, the big backhoe, the big backhoe, it digs up dirt. Once there was a big backhoe. Oh, and it was in a construction site. And every day it dug a great big ditch, a great big hole in the ground. But one day the dump truck came in. Oh, it was a wonderful sight because there was dirt in the dump truck. And there was a driver. Drive the truck, drive it all around. Open up the big back door, the dirt slides on the ground. Sing! Drive it all around.
Open up the big backhoe
door, the dirt slides on
the ground.
And you can see where this is going. The backhoe just wanted so badly to be a dump truck. Well, the next thing that came in that didn't come in, but came into my story, is the crane. Oh, the crane goes up, the cables come down, lifting the water pipes out of the ground. The crane goes up, the cables come down, moving the water pipes all around. Oh, the backhoe thought being a crane would be so great, to be so tall. I'm always in the dirt. I'm always digging holes. Well, you can see where this is going. The next thing that came was, those are to the tune of "The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out." So these are all songs I knew. And he was just fascinated with the idea that I could animate these objects, these wonderful things that were before him. So the next one was a bulldozer, and we did push the dirt, push them all around, push it here and push it there, make a great big mound. And, but the last thing that happened was somebody came in and needed a big hole, and none of the others could do it, but the backhoe could do it. And so that's how we end with the song of the backhoe. And so that was when he was 2, barely. But when he was 5, the story changed. It had to change. When I would go into a kindergarten, it had to be a construction worker drove the backhoe and wanted to become, a driver of the truck. And, and then we all sang that song, and then wanted to become a crane driver, and then wanted to become the bulldozer driver. And then finally somebody needed a backhoe driver. Oh, I can do that. I used to do that. Well, you're very important because we can't start the building without a backhoe. So that story, I got more mileage out of it, and I can send copies of it. It's not very long. I could even copy it and send it to you on email, but if you want, I could send it to you in hard copy, because I have millions of copies of that. Okay, so now the backhoe, we did that. The trunk full of family stories. Okay, this is something you will love. because this photograph I have used, and a parent gave me permission to share it with anyone that I wanted to. So I have used that on a number of projects, grant projects, or when I was hired to, be an artist in residence for one of the things. So it appears on many different schools' stories that they created, from everything from, well, I didn't put it on this because they made their own. This is second grade, but this one was done in a school, and it had first through fifth grade, actually, but the major one was with first and through third. Now, these stories were generated with first an excitement about, we're going to do a storytelling night, a trunk full of family stories. And a little boy shot up his hand and said, "Oh, we have a big black trunk." And I said, "Oh, do you really? That's great, Jonathan. Tell us about it." And he just told a few sentences like, "Oh, my great great grandfather brought it over from Austria. And then my great great grandmother got lonesome. And after she had a baby, she went back to Austria. And every year, my great great grandfather took that trunk back with all filled up with clothes and gifts, and then would come back to the United States to his job once a year, every year." So I was very interested in this because, boy, that sounds like it would be fun. So then I don't have it up here. So he told that story, and the end of it is a very simple ending. I want to talk about getting endings, even for adults. Because if you don't, you could have what happened to me. Katie, I don't know if you were there when we were doing the children in the storytelling one year, and this little kindergartner forgot his ending.
Oh.
He kept making he was very fluent. He could make new parts to his story. And he went on and on. And, I couldn't be in every classroom, but I did go into, how many? My goodness. All over the county. If the teacher wanted me to come in just for a little while, a period, and get them excited, then I would go back. I didn't realize the kid didn't know the ending because he'd memorized his story. But sometimes they just need that cue to get the ending clear. So Jonathan's ending to his big black trunk story was very simple. It was, I never got to see him or his son, my grandfather, but in our house, we have something special of theirs, the big black trunk. Now, Jonathan got stage fright the afternoon before the evening performance. So I had to absolutely think of something quick. So I said, "Don't worry, it's okay," to the teacher and the parent. "Just bring him. I'll think of something." So he came and I said, "Jonathan, I have an idea. You love playing with that big black trunk, don't you?" Yeah, I do." "Well, how would you like to be in it when the show starts with a microphone and you could knock on it and we'd hear the knocking from inside the trunk?" "Oh, yeah, that would be fun." So he got in. It wasn't abuse. It was okay. He loved it. And he knocked. I said, "Now knock after I say, and now the show will begin. Knock, knock, knock. And I go, who's that? Did you hear a knock? And all the parents and the kids are going, they really didn't know it was Jonathan's secret. And so then I asked him questions. Who are you? I'm the big black trunk. And what did you do? Oh, I came from Austria. Oh, when did you do that? 1847. And he told the whole story from inside the big black trunk, opened it up at the end, and everyone just, he was the hit of the show. Well, I can't tell you what this did for him. His mother was amazed, you know, because it just changed his whole outlook. Not all at once, but he knew that he could do it. And so the big black trunk is a wonderful story. Now, so that was the props, using that as a, you know, a key to get energy and to get the kids over that, you know, because they don't have to memorize it. That's not the point. They just have to tell the story that we had worked on in class, and they had, you know, written and done a kind of a chunked, you know, very short, not an outline, but, you know, drawing a picture map of it and stuff like that. You know, all those things that every storyteller that I know and that you know loves to do. Just draw and write and do their picture map. Now, when it came closer and closer to the performance, kids got a little nervous, or they lost energy, folks. And even adults do. And you need to pep it up. But with kids, you can do it through mime and musical sound effects. So with one little girl's story, it was about a robber coming in and robbing her house through the window in her room. And she didn't notice the robber until he was on his way out, and she screamed. I mean, she was a little girl, probably 7. And when she screamed, the robber dropped the pants out the window and had the money in his hand, and then he climbed down the ladder. So what she loved was the idea that she could use mime. And in order to do that, I taught mime isolations, which actually for kids is quite calming. And I put on a little Scott Joplin, you know, music. And we do isolations starting with the head, you know, and I'm talking to them. Shoulder, center, shoulder, center. Forward, center, back, center. Up, center, down, center. Each one of those is a different character. That's a different character. That's a different character. That's a different character. You know, that's a different character. So we would go through isolations. And one of the ones they love the most, of course, is handling objects, touching objects. So here are my hands. Everybody do this. Okay. I'm relaxed and I'm not touching anything, right? Click. Now I'm touching something. Relaxed, not touching, click. Now the audience knows the size of the object. Now if I take it and stroke the side, oh, I love the feel of it. Then I absolutely get a picture of it. So any kind of object, whether it's a rope, here's my hand, there's the rope. So let's try it. Click, click, Good. And now if I go down and sneak my head up, it gives the feeling of going up. And then I cheat and go down a little, and I click, click. I forgot to really, I try to really make them show that. And yes. And you look up. If you look up, the audience looks up. So the ladder was fun for this little girl. And she used it, and it just made the whole thing come alive. And I don't do this till near the end in case, you need this coming alive kind of feeling. So now let's look at musical sound effects, because that was for one little girl. Was a cute little girl. She was so, so cute. Her story was about her grandmother. I mean, we had stories about them too when they were little, but this one was about the great grandmother, and her name was Okina Bernice Kick, and she was born in Holland. And at the age of 12, she traveled with her father on a big ship from Holland. Now, she goes on to describe how the sea was very rough. And when she did that, we gave her the option of having her have a friend if she wanted. And we did some brainstorming. Can you hear that? Can you hear the way it goes up and down? I don't know if you can hear that. I forgot to change my setting for sound. And then, of course, the thunder tube. So her friends were in the audience, and when she described how the sea was very rough, she used the microphone for the wind, of course, and her two friends, because if there are some children that are afraid, I used to get this in middle school, they can be in the orchestra and they can help out on the sides. But anyway, these kids were all in the front, sitting on the floor, and they knew their turn. So that story was also, a big hit, because everybody loved having the instrument. And there were other ones too, like for walking and stuff like that. But the flexitone, everybody loves the flexitone.
Was that the name of the first instrument? There was a question about that.
Yes, the
Okay.
F as in Frank, L-E-X, flex tone. And you get them from instrument books in your music store under novelty instruments. And they can send away for it, or you could just go online. Sometimes some places do that. And also another thing is that for ambiance, can you hear that? Or is that hearable?
We can hear it a bit. It's not as loud as the other instruments.
Okay, well, maybe this one's better. The Imbira. Okay, any kind of stringed instrument or thumb piano. This one's from St. John and St. Thomas area. I got to go there and tell stories. And I love this. The kids love it. And they will say, oh, this is a soft part. I want to have, a good sound in the background while this scene happens or something. So none of it is essential. I'm just saying if you need it. Thank you for asking questions. And thank you for just chiming right back in. now the middle school students, okay, when I did this group, it was instead of having them try to pull out of their parents' stories, which takes time. But some teachers love to do that. And some places I wouldn't do that because of certain, you just don't do that. So doing Before I Knew Better stories is really, really helpful. And with seventh grade, and oh, by the way, all of these things, every single thing I've told you, I use with adults when I do the workshops for any tall tale family stories. We start with getting ideas that happen to us or that happen to our friends, and then we move it into, a tall tale, let's say, or an exaggeration, or not. Depends on what the grant was or what I'm doing. So what I wanted to do is not show you, but this was a final project for the storytelling group in a Chesapeake Middle School in Maryland. And these stories were Before I Knew Better. So I have to tell you, this one is called I Knew It Would Happen. And because we're running out of time, I'm not going to tell it or read it. I'll just give you the idea. The boy was playing soccer. It got very, very hot. And so they all decided finally to go in the water. So he ran in first and he jumped up all the different, everybody followed him. And then a huge wave came and everybody went under it, but he knew that he was the best and he went over it. And of course, you know what happened? He lost his bathing suit. And he was so embarrassed. He said, "Get me a bathing suit. Get me a towel." And of course, it took 10 minutes because they were laughing so hard. The bathing suit had come in already on the wave that he missed. So they finally brought him a towel. And his ending, which you've got to help the middle school, give them ideas if they don't have it, because it is a bad feeling if the audience doesn't know that's the end. And do this, everybody. If you do that, that's a symbol. They will remember that. Oh, yeah. And every time you talk about endings, do that. I don't know why, but somehow it gets in here and they work on it. But the ending he had was, so that's a good one because it shows he learned something. If you ever decide to ride the waves, make sure your bathing suit fits tightly or wear spandex so your bathing suit won't have a mind of its own. Because earlier he said it had a mind of its own. And the other one I wanted to share from this upper grade group is The Mother's Pain. And it was about a boy playing ball in the back with all his friends. And oh my goodness, they were doing great. And he hit the ball. And when he did, it went right through the pane of his brother's window. And who was there in the room straightening up? His mother. Well, he saw her in the window because she looked out and he had run away behind a tree and she had seen him. And so he got into double trouble, not because of the window, which was an accident, but because of running away. So his ending is, let's see, they always, middle school, you are better to take your punishment right then and there instead of thinking you can get away and from it, and just praying that it will go away, because it won't. And these were all told stories, but these were things that they did, in the class to kind of get them going. And the last thing, but one of them, oh no, there's two last things, but I won't have time, is the Tall Tale Liars Festival and the Student Storytelling Festival. And this comes from the favorite thing of adults or children was doing pets, and taking pets and making it a tall tale. Now, the reason that I had to do a Liars Festival was because when I moved to Maryland, Garrett County, I was the president's wife of the college. And they knew that the president's wife was a storyteller. That meant she was a liar. So if they didn't know ahead of time, Beth, this is true, or you were there. Where's Beth? I'm looking for Beth. I don't know if she's still on. But Beth, when I was trying to figure this out, I figured, oh, well, I'll just go along with it. I'm a liar. I'm a storyteller. And so that's part of the reason I started the Tall Tale Liars Festival at Autumn Glory. And one of the favorite things for adults or students was to think of a pet that they had. And this pet could be anything they chose. And then the more the pet, if I could find, here's Short So the fish. I can send you, I don't know if I can send this, but I can send you the article about it. Short So the fish, oh my goodness. That was a little fish this big, Short So, and every day the boy would come home from school and he'd look for his fish and it wasn't there. And the first time it was licking the dishes, because I forgot to tell you, Short So was a very clean fish, cleaned his bowl every day. One day he came home, fish wasn't in the bowl. He was cleaning the dishes, and this goes on for different. Next day he came home, wasn't there. He was cleaning the floor. And the last day when he came home, he was in the bathroom, in the toilet. And this third grade at the time had been, or maybe, I think it was third, had been studying, the cycle of water, where it goes in the house and out the pipes and out in the ocean. So he made it, he didn't mean to flush it. He didn't see the fish until it was too late. And the fish went down the toilet. And then that summer, he and his family went to the beach. And do you know what they found? Picking up shells. There was Short So cleaning the shells on the beach. Oh, Short So, you can't stay here. So they took him home. And so then they started a cleaning business called Short So Cleaning Business. So anyway, the stories are wonderful from adults or children. I have stories from a dentist, and there used to be dueling between Doc Savage. His name was Savage. He was a dentist. That's a real name. And Gary Yoder. And they would go on about, Gary was a patient of Doc and gave him false teeth. And he'd take out these teeth and go like this. And I can't shut up ever since then, or something. They had a routine going. And so it's really been fun. I just love doing the storytelling. And so I don't have time for Cold Talk, which was a story project, but I can send you the article. And it tells a lot about it, and I have more information on oral history, but this isn't really about oral history. But oral histories for coal talk was the coal miners telling stories, and the coal mining family, the daughters who were now older, and the wives, and sometimes people that worked in the company store, like Charlie McIntyre. And he had to drop a big roast beef that had come in from West Virginia, because Kitzmiller's right next to West Virginia. And so he had to drop it because he was on a swaying bridge and the wind was up, and it was either him or the roast beef. So he let the roast beef go. Got into a lot of trouble. Things like that come up that aren't in the mines. Most of them were in the mines. But so if you ever want to do a community project, I recommend you do an occupational oral history project. Get a lot of stories. A lot of stories. Any town has old occupations. They would so love a grant on getting the old timers' stories. So we called it Dialogues with Western Maryland Coal Communities. But our minds went into West Virginia. So we had people from both Garrett County, Maryland, and West Virginia. But I've been meaning to do one on the textile mills here in East Hampton. Yeah, we have a lot of old mills, and they're all getting to be, art galleries and apartments and everything. But, where are the stories? That's my next goal. So family stories. I hope that gives you my introduction of what I've done.
Gail, Misty put a question in the chat. Do you see it now that you're out of sharing?
Oh yeah, Misty, hi. I'm so glad to see you. Misty's another West Virginia storyteller, and she's been doing a lot with different groups. So glad to see you. Let's see. I see the final project for a lot of the residencies was a printed book in addition to a storytelling concert. Yeah, a lot of the ones for schools were. And well, the oral histories for coal talk were not. They were mostly on tape, or now they're on MP3s or something, and they're all in the Coal Talk Library of Garrett Community College, which is now Garrett College. They're in that room called Coal Talk Room. How did you go about the creation of the written stories in relation to or opposed to the spoken stories? Some storytellers write their stories, whereas others never write theirs down. What options for the written portions did you give to the students? Well, the start was when I was young and in the mountains. That was the very best brainstorming. Then they would choose one. In the little kids one where they were asking parents, well, that's a different story. I think I had a kindergarten and a second grade one on that. And the kindergarten people, they wanted the kids to come back with what did mom do for Thanksgiving dinner? How did she get the turkey? And oh, mom makes the red stuff from jelly, and all kinds of, even though the parents told them, they had their own way of expressing it. But you said the question was, yes, the written stories, that might be the ending product, but my thing really is to make a storyboard and make it visual. And you got to get the chunks to the story. The chunks are like scenes in a play or beats in a scene, if you will, for theater. And but the storyboard, and usually for kids, no, 6 to 8 boxes, and they're doing cartoon. And I had mine right here. Like one of them I was going to show you. Cartoons. It's like cartoons. You don't want to, and they might take it home. Usually the teachers, meaning Leslie or one of the college things, they take it home. Yeah. So those two things, chunked outline for older kids sometimes, but it's just a chunk, not written out, but a couple of words even to the most important thing, is that clear? Yeah. Katie, oh no, you just were fixing.
Gail,
Yes.
You're suggesting the storyboard as something you do along the way for the kids to develop the story,
yes, John,
and learn it, not as the final product. Am I correct?
Well,
it's often used as a tool to learn a story.
Yes, it's a tool for learning a story. However, if I'm with art teachers,
okay,
then it's a different thing. But with classroom teachers, I try to get the students to see that you don't have to be an artist. It's stick figures. In fact, I'll make mine particularly simple, So, and then I show them other ones. Well, I got interested, and the more they do that for a particular chunk, it really helps cement the scene or the section in their mind. Could be, a section in the main character's mind that changes the story. Carrie, you must use a lot of that too with your kids, right?
I was sitting here nodding all of the above, including for the final products where we've actually taken their story maps or the pictures they did along with it and then binded that. Then they can take it from there and retell the stories. I've also done it like you. Now it's MP4. I finally changed. I kept all the VHS tapes, and then I put it on DVD. Now I don't even have that. But from all of those, they can be different products or just the oral storytelling. But the final products, you can do that mix and match.
Yeah, you can. I have some that have pictures in them.
I think Misty still had a question on it, I guess.
Yes,
I guess
it was brilliant.
I guess I was wondering if their teacher or the grant was require them to write it down so they would have a book. Were they writing the stories first, or did they do the concert and then they sort of wrote it down afterwards?
Oh, well, I always do the brainstorming and telling first. Whether I'm with adults, like like at Becker College, they were veterinary people and nursing and business people, let's say, and don't get them into writing first because you'll never.
So you have them write it down afterwards, and I think that kind of ties in. Linda Grosser wrote a question in the chat asking about other projects focused more on adult audiences, and you're saying that it sort of worked across the age spectrum.
I can't tell you how handy all of these things have been to me, Linda Grosser, wherever you are. Oh, there you are. Definitely the adults need the sketching, just some of them can't. They just say, no, I can't. I'm not going to, I'm not there to beat them over the head or anything. In that case, then I ask them to do a list. Yeah, a list of things like going to the beach, playing soccer, hot, go swimming, waves. I mean, it could be that. Oh, I forgot to tell you the most important thing I'm doing with Haiti. I teach in Haiti, folks. I teach, they're 4th grade for Haiti, but they really might be a little older. So what we do are 6 word mime stories. So it could be, I won't get up and do it, but person, going out, walking. Well, I'm already on 3. A bird. Oops. And then some ending, I don't know. But 6-word mime stories are great, but teach them some mime. Anyone, you could call me anytime. I'll go on Zoom and do it. I love teaching, adults mime because I think it's so useful. It's so useful. Yeah. So I probably, did you all put your email in the chat so that I can, Sarah Beth, just in case I can't do it, would you mind saving it as well, the chat? And then that way I'll be able to send everything I need to send to them. Yeah. Anybody want, so I'll send you the cold talk thing, which describes it. And
can you send a copy of your slides from tonight?
Yes. And would you like to have the slides from the pet stories as well? The Liars Festival, the pet stories. It's somewhere in. Oh, and can you see this?
No, it's not sharing right now. Are you sharing your screen?
Oh, yeah, because I could. Oh, are you seeing that?
No.
Okay, wait a minute. I know there's a way I share things. Let's see. Let me just close this. Did somebody just put that up? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, share screen. Oh dear. Share. Wait a minute. Can you see this?
Yes.
The brown. Okay, this is the pet story one. It's like 6 slides. So I'll send that to you. Oh, I don't know if I could send you the slideshow, but I'll send you the copy because somehow I got an apple from Word and don't ever do it. But this is what I wanted to show you. If you have a PC, keep the PC. That's my advice. This is one of the things that I did for one of the tall tale things that I did recently here in East Hampton for my grant. And it was so much fun. And I put all these chairs out, because it was really on Zoom. It was a kid thing, or maybe it was an adult thing. I can't remember, but I had both. So if you want or do you like to make your own? Well, you let me know what you want and I will send it to you. Okay. Are there any other questions? Let's see,
so you're recording, can we get a copy of the recording also of the session?
Well, Sarah Beth said they have a special YouTube channel.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, we'll put it on the Yes channel of NSN's YouTube, and it will be unlisted, but we can share the link with Yes members and with people who came.
Yeah.
My dog had to go outside, so I must have missed that.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Back door going.
Yeah. So I'm flattered that you want to see it again. Well, Cora, you missed it, so of course you do. But Karen, I'm glad to meet you and see you here. Hi, where are you from?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm from, you mean originally from
No,
Japan?
no, I mean,
No.
no.
I live in Georgia.
Georgia?
Hi, yes.
Oh, good. Georgia. We have people from all over the country here. Any other questions or anything? I know it's a lot, and I thank you so much for coming because it just means so much to share.
Thank you, Gail.
Family.
Thank you,
stories.
Gail. That was fabulous.
Go tell family stories.
Hi, Terry.
Hi.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
John, what did you say, John?
I love the thing about the songs with the
Toddlers.
with the backhoe and all that. Did you say you're going to send something with that? Because I'd love to.
Well, why don't you email me so I definitely get that to you, and I'll send it to you, Carrie.
Okay.
Because I know you love little. Oh, and Donis likes little one. Yeah.
My grandson will love that one.
Oh yeah, just ad lib it. I mean, it has
yeah.
to change the older they get. Instead of it being, instead of personifying objects, they want real people. By the time they get in kindergarten and first grade. Yeah. So, anything else?
Bye, Priscilla.
Hi, Priscilla. Priscilla's gone. I guess that's all. No more questions. Okay.
That was brilliant. Thank you, Gail.
When will you do your next?
Love you.
Gail, when will you do another one this now? Have a part 2.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'll talk to you, Donis. I'll find out what you need. Okay.
Okay.
I'd love a part 2 as well.
Okay.
I will email you.
Okay. All right. Good to see you, Linda. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes to yes.
Thank you so
yes to yes. Join NSN.
Join NSN. Yes, join NSN.
We've got these.
Yes.
The Yes SIG is doing these story labs quarterly, and we have people who present, across the spectrum from working with young children all the way up through college students. And we're always looking for ideas of presenters. So if anyone here is interested in presenting, or if you have someone to suggest, you can let us know.
They've been brilliant.